John has been staying at home since the heightened alert, and he got so bored that he decided to go to the library to borrow some books to read. Due to the COVID-19 situation, an online appointment must be made in advance prior to going to the library. To get to the library, he would need to commute by bus. After reaching a bus stop near the library, he would then alight from the bus and take a 5-minute walk to the library. Arriving at the entrance to the library on the ground floor, he must first use the Trace Together app, whereby he must scan the QR code to check in. Then, he has to verify that he has checked in on the Trace Together app, and as well as his booking time with the security personnel at the entrance before proceeding into the library. The book he wanted to borrow is at level 3, and hence he will need to take the escalator to get to that level. Soon, John reaches level 3 and begins his search for the book based on the author's name. But there was no luck. He couldn't find the book he wanted. He then decided to use the terminal to search for the exact location of the book. The book is actually available for borrowing, and the location of the book is shown on the display terminal. He then proceeds to the location and takes the book to the borrowing station. To borrow the book, he will need to place the book on the scanner first and take out his identification card and execute the steps required to successfully borrow the book. He then places the borrowed book into his bag and begins his commute back home. However, once John is done with the book, he will still need to commute to return it to the library. Let's dig deeper and do some analysis on this scenario. Firstly, let's identify what are the possible wastes or inefficiencies produced in this scenario. Could you identify some? The first waste produced is overprocessing, in which John needs to book an appointment prior to going to the library. And he also needs to execute the steps required in order to successfully borrow the book at a self-borrow kiosk. The second waste produced is the transport waste, as John needs to bring the book back home and return it to the library once he is done with the book. Another waste produced is the motion waste, as John needs to take the bus and then walk to the library and proceed to the location of the book, and likewise when returning the book. Next, we shall identify the root cause. Where was John unable to find his book at the first location? Could you think of any tools to help us identify the root cause? There are many root cause analyses available, and some of the examples are fishbone diagrams, Pareto charts, and 5 whys. In this scenario, we will be using 5 whys to identify the root cause, as it is the most appropriate for our situation. Let's begin by asking the question, why was John unable to borrow his book? It's because he was unable to find the book he wanted. Next, we shall ask, why was he unable to find the book he wanted? It's because the book was not at the location he thought it was. We then proceed by asking, why was the book not at the location he thought it was? It's because the National Library Board might have shifted it to somewhere else, or the borrower might have looked at the wrong location to begin with. Finally, we shall ask, why didn't John check the location of the book in the first place? And the answer would be that John did not know that he could check for the availability of the book. This made us begin to wonder, how can we resolve the problems faced by John? What are the possible solutions? Since we are using 5 whys, which is not a problem-solving technique, but rather a tool to identify why a problem originated in the first place, we can identify the root cause for why John is unable to find the book he wanted at the first location, and then introduce solutions. Take for example, checking for book availability online. This functionality is particularly important with the current COVID situation, as we are trying to minimize exposure to others as much as possible.